Hi guys, today we are making leggings or the pants for an activewear set. So if you want to see how we make it, then make sure you keep on watching. So we're using leggings we already own to make these. So as you can see, I've laid my pattern paper on the table and I'm taking my leggings and I'm laying that on top. So what I'm going to do is trace around the front piece or the front of the leggings, and to do that I'm making sure that I'm tracing where the seam is and not where the legging sits on the fabric, so that my back piece is a bit bigger than my front piece. I'm just making sure where I need to that I'm lifting it up so that I'm accurately marking the front seams down. Then I'm connecting the dots with my French curve. I haven't added seam allowance just because I want it to fit me a tiny bit more snug than the existing leggings or the leggings that I used. So I'm adding 1 inch to the bottom to make it a bit longer, and I'm also adding 1 inch to the top just to make that hem a bit to make sure that we can add the elastic on there as well. And then I'm just labeling it, and then we're moving on to the back piece. So I'm doing the same for the back side, the back of the legging. But the back is a bit trickier just because it's not as flat as the front piece. So I'm going to have to move it around a bit. So to start, I have just made it flat from the inseam up to the waist, so from the crotch to the waist, and I'm going to trace that first. And I'm going to have to like measure a bit or rejig it to see how much excess fabric here I need to add onto this so that I have the right size for the back piece. When I was doing the voiceover, I was saying thank God I actually explained that first bit because it is quite hard to explain. So as you can see, I'm marking out the inseam and the crotch first. Then I'm just tracing around the rest of the legging onto that pattern paper. And as you can see, what I've done is I have measured on the legging itself from where I'm seeing the seam to the flat side and I'm gonna add that onto the pattern paper that we're drafting. Hopefully the way that I'm saying that is making sense. The visual should explain it a bit better, but I'm doing that just to make sure that the back has the right amount of space, just like the front section did. Then I'm going to repeat the process of connecting those dots that we've made with our French curve to make sure those lines are all neat. And once we've done that, again making sure to add 1 inch seam allowance to the bottom and 1 inch to the top. Then we can cut this out, and then we can finally move on to the fun part, which is actually making the leggings. So I'm putting my pattern pieces to the side, and then I'm grabbing my fabric and I'm putting that on the table. Guys, if you are taller than me, which is like 5 inches, 5 feet, not 5 inches, then you might want to cut this out on the floor instead. I think because I'm sure I managed to get away with it even though my table is quite limited. So I've taken my back piece and I've lined that up onto the fabric. I've matched up the hem with the selvage of the fabric just to make sure that I'm cutting it out neatly, and then I am taking my chalk and I'm tracing around all around the back piece just to make sure that I get that shape. If you want to be extra secure, make sure you use pattern weight or pins before you trace it out. And then once I have traced it out, then I'm going to go in with my roto cutter and my cutting mat and I'm going to cut that out. In the end, I think I ended up using fabric scissors just because it made it a bit easier, but you want to cut in directly inside the chalked line, as we're not adding seam allowance to this. And then you just want to repeat that for the rest of the pieces again. So you will need 2 pieces for the back and 2 pieces for the front. I will say as a cautionary measure, because I did make this mistake, make sure that you cut out 2 back pieces but on the opposite side and 2 front pieces but on the opposite side. None of your pattern pieces should be completely identical, otherwise you will end up with 2 left legs and we don't want that to happen, and that is a mistake that I made. So just make sure that you take your time to make sure that you cut out those patterns properly. If you have to, once you've cut out one pattern piece, just lay that piece again on the fabric and use that instead of going back in with your pattern piece. So once you have your pieces, you want to lay them together right sides facing. It helps if you lay the back piece down first and then lay the front piece on top of that. And what we're doing, we are pinning, or we are clipping all the way from the inseam all the way from the crotch down to the hem, and then again we are pinning from the outseam to the waist all the way down to the hem as well. And that's what we're going to stitch first, and you just want to repeat that for both of the legs that you have. So once you have stitched both of those legs, we want to turn it right side out, and then what we want to do is match up the crotch, because that's what we're going to stitch next. So what you want to do is find the middle of the crotch for both of the legs, and you want to pin that together first, and then you want to pin from the crotch all the way up to the front. So that's for the front piece, and then do the same for the back as well. So it should look like a concave kind of shape once you're done pinning it. Then you want to stitch from the middle of the crotch all the way up on one side, and then you want to repeat again, stitching from the crotch all the way up on the back side as well, just to make sure that that crotch is lined up perfectly. Now you can see they actually look like leggings, guys. I'm getting a tiny bit excited. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add the elastic. What I did at the top, I just did an overcast stitch all the way around, just because I didn't want it to fray, and then I cut out the elastic based on the measurement of my waist. What I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap it by 1 inch, as you can see, and I'm going to line that up with the back, so the very back seam, and I'm going to pin that to the back seam, and then I'm flattening it out, finding the opposite side, and I'm pinning that to the very front seam, so that kind of crotch area there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to flatten it out again, and I'm going to find the quarter point. So I found both sides, and I'm finding the quarter point, and that is what I'm going to pin to that side seam, and then I'm going to repeat that for the other side as well, just to make sure that the elastic is evenly distributed all the way around. And then I'm going to add in any extra pins that I need just to secure that in place, and I'm going to stitch that around. To begin with, I did use a zigzag stitch and I tried it on and I heard something snap, so clearly I needed a more sturdy stitch. So I went back in with an overcast stitch just to hold that in place. I'm happy we're like very almost done. See, now what I'm going to do, I've attached the elastic and I'm just going to stitch it down just here and here as well, just a straight line. I'm going to do that for the sides as well, and then all we have to do is hem, and then we'll be done. Hemming is by far the easiest part of this tutorial. All I'm doing is I'm folding it in by 1/2 inch all the way around and pinning it in place just so it's secure, and I'm repeating that on both of the legs. I'm going to be using my twin needles, which I love so much, to finish off this hem. And I'm just going to do that again for both legs all the way around, and then we are all done. This is what the final result looks like. Let me know if you like it. I will also be dropping the matching top tutorial as well, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. And I will see you in that video. Bye guys!